Hello and welcome to another commentary video. This is BRM600, also known as the Big Hills Challenge 2.0, which is Malaysia's toughest brevet ride to date. So here's me trying to emulate that dramatic documentary style with the text going with epic kind of music. It says 40 hours here, but actually we have been given an extra hour's extension due to the difficulty of the ride. So I'm going to hit pause right here for a bit and let's have a more in-depth look at the route and elevation. So immediately you'll see the two big peaks, or rather mountain ranges, that the riders have to cross in order to complete the ride. The first major climb goes up Highlands, which is nearly 1,500 meters at the highest point on the route. The second big bump is just before the 400 kilometer mark. That's the Titi Wangsa range. It has two separate peaks at approximately 1000 meters and 600 meters respectively. While this is no Giro d'Italia, but it still ranks pretty well above average as far as hilly randonneuring routes go. We have about 142 riders officially registered for this event, although not everyone is doing the full 600 kilometer loop. There are actually two separate events going on here, so riders are doing a 200 kilometer ride as well as a 600 kilometer ride. Those that do 200 will turn around at the first checkpoint at the 100 kilometer mark, and they'll just come back the same way that they rode. There's still a lot of elevation for 200 though, especially since they are, well, essentially climbing Highlands twice. So I went over the route and made a couple of potential plans in an earlier video, which I can link up above. But essentially it all boils down to how much time it takes to get over Highlands and then negotiate the rolling hills all the way to Gua Musang. So these two obstacles are going to be the main focus of the first day, and that determines just where my overnight rest point is going to be and how much sleep I will be able to get at that point. So back to Highlands. This is one of the few lookout points with a wide enough view for touristy photo opportunities, which is opposite restaurant Banjaran. It's kind of closed at this time. The overcast weather is great for cycling, but not so great for photo opportunities. So the tunnel means we are kind of close to the peak now. A sample of some of the local fauna up here. A brief descent. At the far end of this stretch, you can see another landmark. And there it is, the state border between Perak and Pahang, also where you find the big Highlands welcome sign. I thought of doing a slow-mo video here, but then again, I'm already riding slow enough, so I guess it counts. This petrol station is a very crucial stopping point along the route. There isn't much in the way of shops or refill points from here all the way to Gua Musang, so it's essential to stock up on supplies, especially on water, before moving on. If you look closely, you can see where I stashed an extra 1.5 liter bottle of water on me. Ha! Big strawberry here. Oh, for those of you not familiar with Highlands, this is where we grow strawberries in Malaysia. Lots and lots of strawberry farms all over the place, in addition to other highland plantation stuff like tea and other things, but yeah, mostly loads of strawberries. A lovely descent after all that climbing. You can easily hit over 70 kilometers an hour going down. Not sure what that guy is doing over here. Photos, I guess. Hey there, Sam. So the first checkpoint is in the middle of nowhere at the 100-kilometer mark. On the bright side, we have food and drink, courtesy of, if I'm not mistaken, CRS, Cycling Rescue Service, based on the shirts that they're wearing. So burgers, soft drinks, stuff like that. That was a nice touch. After that, here's the long and seemingly never-ending road towards Gua Musang. So here's the first sign of bad news. The sun is up, no more overcast weather. Afternoon heat is always an issue over here and it sets strength and performance. So basically try to stay cool, drink lots of liquids. Second checkpoint here in Gua Musang is pretty pedestrian. Just go to a shop, let the shop owner stamp your brevet card, then maybe have lunch and move on. So this is a very familiar part of Gua Musang town. I believe this is the third time we are actually here. First time was on our very first BRM600 Big Hills challenge in June last year. And then after that, BRM400 in July. Even this part of the route is kind of familiar. This was the starting kilometers of BRM400 last year. So eventually we'll reach a junction where we turned right towards Kenyir Lake last year. But for this ride, we're continuing straight onwards, heading towards Kuala Krai. This isn't actually a big time skip. It's more like we literally spent an entire afternoon and evening along the route. So the weather hasn't been kind. Rain, especially at night, impedes performance as it reduces visibility, makes it hard to notice things like potholes and other road hazards. So we have to ride slower as a result. In addition to road hazards, another issue with wet rides is the increased risk of punctures. Things like sand, road grate, glass fragments and all that kind of stuff are more likely to stick to wet tires. It also makes fixing these punctures more difficult because you have to make sure that none of all that road grit sticks to the inner tube or gets inside the tire. This PHP station was supposed to be my overnight spot, but due to lack of time, I only spent like half an hour here for a very short cat nap and some food before heading up the Titiwangsa range. So essentially this is my first BRM600 without an overnight spot, without sleep. The misty conditions near the peak don't really impede cycling except for the cold, but we have to be more careful about motor vehicles since visibility is a lot shorter for them. We're supposed to obtain a receipt from a shop at this checkpoint, but seems like all the shops are closed. So instead we just took pictures as proof of our arrival. There's a public toilet and bath, but it's pretty cold up here, so you have to have a very high cold tolerance to, take a cold shower here. There's also a slight drizzle going on which makes it even colder, and that's not helping. Temenggol Lake, it sits in a little valley in the middle of this Titiwangsa range. The bridge leads to Banding Island in the middle of the lake, and then a second bridge takes us over to the other side. There are some nearby accommodations as well as a cafe for tourists in the area. Again with brown muddy rivers. Now we're entering the town of Greek. Seems like a lot of Audax rides that take place in the northern peninsula Malaysia pass through this town. It's like some kind of hub or central junction box, I guess. Anyway, I believe this is the first time we're actually riding the other way around. At other times we were actually coming from the opposite direction to head off to some isolated climb or faraway town or whatever. Now this is a fairly long road. It's almost 100 kilometers from Greek all the way to Sungai Siput, and then from there another maybe 30 kilometers to the finishing point. So I remember we were about like 60 kilometers from the finish and it was 5:30 p.m. and we decided we will finish this ride before 8. So what ensued was a relatively fast-paced 2-person time trial finale. So we actually managed to finish within the standard 40-hour cutoff. Thankfully, there weren't many climbs along this final stretch, as that would easily kill our momentum. So yeah, that's my latest adventure. I hope you've enjoyed listening to my ramblings. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe to this channel, I guess, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!